Hey, welcome. So in this video, we will cover one of the most important aspect of how does the manage your income, right? In the with the Retire Pro, how do you see clarity of your personal finance and how to gain your personal financial freedom? And see one of the more core component is managing your income. Now, when it comes to income, most people think that okay, I'm having a salary income, I have a passive income. Now these are good, but the mistake most people make is they think it's a promise. This will continue, but that's not the way. In the Retire Pro, we say that why income must be seen as a flow. And if you really look at our logo also, Retire Pro is a flow. Why do you have to see it as like a river flow and not a promise? Because incomes does change and many things can happen. So, what is that exactly? How do we see the income? So, the first and foremost illusion, I would say, when it comes to personal finance, the biggest illusion most people have is that income is the easiest part. So, I just need to earn something and I know this will continue. But that's the most misunderstood, I will tell you. Because at Retire Pro, what we say is that income as a flow that changes across time. What is the income right now you have over next 5 years? That is not the same, maybe next 15 years, and the source of income will completely differ, and so you need to accommodate that. And there are two common mistakes people do. One common mistake is people overestimate their income. What is happens with when they overestimate their income? They assume things will continue to rise, maybe salary is rising, business will always grow, and assume bonus will repeat, and that's where they take up a lot of debt or they over spend and they start saving too little, and that is what causes a lot of stress. But then there is another camp also. They underestimate their income. Actually, they are making good job, but they fear job loss. They ignore some realistic growth. Every job has a certain growth. And they ignore passive. What is the other income opportunity? This was a trap I had in my earlier career. I underestimated and I did not take much debt, and I lost a lot of opportunities. But again, so what happens with underestimate is we work too hard, we delay life, we live below capacities, and we miss a lot of opportunities which is available for us. So both of these things you got to overcome means you need to really understand fundamentals of how the income management works, and that's where the clarity sits in the middle, because both extreme leads to poor decisions, right? And that's Retire Pro helps you to find the realistic middle ground, we say. So what is that exactly? So first is let's understand the clarity breakthrough. There are multiple types of income. Just like expense, there are multiple types, but luckily we have got three types. One is an active income, which can be a salary or a business income or a professional, depending on what you're doing, which you can consistently get something. But then there is a passive, semi-passive, which is something like a rental income, dividends, interest, royalties, and many other things passive. People write various ways of passive incomes are available today. And then there is also another thing is one-time income. Sometimes you don't know, right? There may be a bonus, there may be some kind of a insurance or ESOPs, asset sales. A lot of other things can also happen. Now, these are all the things which we need to do. So the thing is, active income, obviously it requires a lot of effort and time, usually stops or sometimes can reduce. Because the passive income is a very stable. If you have a passive income, it continues to grow. But one-time income, it's a lucky, there is no guarantee on that. So you got to keep idea of this income. But then, just like everything what we have talked in other videos of assets, expenses, the income also multiple dimensions you got to watch. It is not only about what I would say is that income has to be seen as how much you are making money. There are 4 dimensions, and if you miss it, it creates the real illusion. So complete visibility requires mapping each dimensions. So what are the each dimensions? Again, the first one is what is the value. So every income has certain value, right? Maybe you are making a salary of 18 lakhs or 3 lakh rental income or 2 lakh annual dividends. That's the value, that's the starting point, but that's not the future. So what you earn today, let's map that one. But then how frequency is it coming? So if it's a salary, maybe monthly salary, depending on if you're working, or maybe a quarterly dividends or annual bonuses or irregular business income, or something like maybe once in a year it is coming. So frequency is what determines your cash flow. So that is where how your income comes. You need to match your expense and everything according to that. So the key aspect of cash flow is what's the frequency of your income. Then the third one which comes is the timeline. So when does the income start and end? Not all incomes continue to go, right? Salaries, we want to end the salary. So when you say retirement, or when I want to really get out of my job, this 9 to 5 working, that's where you got to put an end of salary income. But then there may be a business income might come, or it may taper, or maybe it can start growing business income after a certain time. Rental income, again, maybe multiple rental incomes you can think of. Dividend incomes, how is that continuous? So income without having a clarity of timeline is a fantasy. You got to know the exact timeline, how the income maps. Then the fourth thing is dimension. This is very important. Like income really, there is no guarantee how the income grows, right? There is a probability and there is a growth. So what is the probability? Whether is this income consistent, especially salary? What's the probability that it will go for next 15 years? Not necessarily. We cannot say 100% probability. It may be 90%, it may be 80%. So you got to put this probability. And also, what's the growth? Do you get 10%, 8%? What's the realistic level? How confident you are? So these things you got to map it to make sure that you have an absolute clarity of your income. And that is what makes, especially on equity, especially on dividend and various incomes, you got to know exactly how sure this income comes. And that's where the traditional income views, most of people say, fail. That whatever your bankers or wealth advisors or financial tools, what they fail is that they think that income will grow continuously till retirement. There is no guarantee of that. The reality is it may plateau, that means it may stagnate, or it may drop, or it may change, or it may even do better. So that's where RetirePro, what it does is, it doesn't assume anything. It models various possibilities. What if it grows? What if it drops? So you will know exactly different possibilities to get an idea. And how RetirePro models is, again, you take the value, frequency, timeline, growth, all these things put together. So you will know that when is your peak earnings, when is the income drops, when is the transition happens, and what is the mismatch between your income and future expense. So this is where the real clarity emerges. So when you map your income like this, you will get an absolute clarity, and that's where you get financial freedom, sense of you can sleep peacefully, and you make decisions very clearly. And for example, let's say a salary income mapping. So one of the ways is to maybe map your salary, 20 lakh per year, frequency monthly, what's the growth, maybe 6 to 10%, how long you want to work, maybe you want to work till 45, 55, depending on what is the confidence. Yes, it's a pretty high confidence, right? Maybe you have a peak income, when is that income might go highest, when things may stop. So this is all you can map it. And why this changes how you live, because once you map like this, you stop spending based on optimism. You stop working based on fear. You plan transition instead of reacting. You can create a margin of safety, what we say. You see when to shift from earning to preserving. So everything becomes intentional, not accidental. That's the core thing you got to know. So you want to make sure that everything what you are doing, planning and everything is intentional. You know exactly, nothing accidental. If something positive happens, it's great, but you are not relying on that. So income versus expense, again, this is where it comes. If income is greater than expense, you're safe. That is not the thing. What RetirePro shows is that if income timing doesn't match expense timing, you're exposed. Because sometimes the expense might come early, whereas the income is coming late. So you got to know exactly, timing beats the total. So you must know that how is your expense, is it matching? Like you have a child marriage, but then your income may be not matching that, the expected or you are planning for a huge trip. So does it really match with your current income, or you have to sell some assets? So you got to know exactly how your expense and income are matching, so that the timing is very clearly, you have a clarity of the timings. And so again, the thing is, you don't need a perfect forecast. So RetirePro doesn't ask you to go, there is nothing like perfection, but having certain idea is the most important thing. And the income modeling is not about prediction, it's about range awareness. You will know exactly where you fit in, right? What is the kind of income where I am, what is the kind of expense. So it shows the best case, medium, allows your adjustment, and encourages some kind of an optimism for you. And all these things put together, what I say is that income is a probability over time. So probability means there is no guarantee, but there is always some possibilities there. So when you see income clearly, you stop overworking or maybe overspending and start living with intention. So you got to map your income honestly, and then clarity will come, everything else. So that's the key message. So now let's dive into understand how Retire Pro works, right? So if you really see the Retire Pro, when you come here to the Retire Pro, you will see the income management. As you see, there are different incomes you can map here. And there are also surplus routing is there. So all you have to do is to go to income source, identify what is the kind of income you have, business, passive, investment, description, give a description, and then what is the current income, what's the frequency as we discussed, what's the start year, so start year, whichever this thing, or what is the end year when you think that income might slow down or less. So for example, for salary, when you, what is the growth rate you are expecting, what's the probability, all these things when you add. So you can add for multiple income sources like this, and then immediately you can also, there are certain things like surplus looting. If you have got certain extra income, where do you want to move that income, whether to the bonds or the insurance, gold, all those things. And as you can see, here I have put some income, how it grows, and then it starts reducing, because that is where maybe I don't have much income, but I have got a lot more asset. And so when you add this level of income management, you get a lot more clarity of your this thing. And then when you go to the dashboard, as you say, income and expense, if you have added, this is a board which clearly gives you an idea how your income and expense is matching, when your expense is going above your income, and how is the asset. So we will cover this in certain other videos we have covered, but income is one of the most important aspects. Go ahead, if you have not registered, go ahead and register to the Retire Pro, and start mapping your income, and let us know how it goes. Or if you are already using, share a comment, and also leave a comment on how this, what else you want to hear. So we are here to help you to gain freedom, gain you achieve the financial clarity, and I would love to hear more comments. Thank you.